Peace, family. Welcome to another Underground Railroad Productions. It's your host, Brother Rich. I'm here with the red and the blue pill. Um, I like talking with y'all. We deal with, hip hop. We deal with sports. We deal with a lot of things and pop culture. And we get this this perspective that you're not going to get in the mainstream media. And I think that's important because our people are into pop culture and our people are watching it, but they're getting such a biased view on it. And Bobby and Phil used to always decode it. Phil used to have the black news back in the day. Everybody used to love the black news before he got into his lecture. You know what I'm saying? Where he decoded all the news. You know what I'm saying? So I want to start. I don't watch much football, y'all, but everywhere I turn around, I'm hearing this dude's name, Marshawn Lynch. Football player, Seattle Seahawks, right? Seahawks? Yeah, Beast Mode. Oakland. Shout out to Oakland. So, it seems as though last year was Richard Sherman with the Seattle Seahawks. It seems as though our people are using them as the poster or the image for black male masculinity, uncompromising black males who isn't buck dancing in front of the white media. So before we get into, are we just desperate for to see that image of black masculinity, or do you see these people as being genuine images of something that we're missing or lacking in our community? Because then I'll just get into some other stuff. But what do you think about that?
Historically, throughout time, we've always identified with the warrior, whether it was the female warrior or the man warrior. They've always been venerated in society. You feel what I'm saying? And from time immemorial, we've always looked down on the coward, and we've always looked down on the traitor, and we've always looked down on those who had no spines. This is history, family. This is through time immemorial. This is not red and blue sentiments, how we feel because where we come from and all. No, this has been going through our veins from the minute we touch this planet. It's consistent. Okay, so because we live in a society that if people don't want to admit it, you know what I mean? I'm gonna admit it. We've been under. There's a certain class of black men that have been under attack, and that's the warrior class. Outside of other different classes, but definitely the warrior class. This quote unquote image, this quote unquote mentality, this quote unquote the DNA of this whole warrior class has been completely under attack. From the images of our brothers and sisters swinging from trees, you feel me? From the images of our brothers and sisters being beheaded in Spain during the Crusades and the wars, when they would chop the king's heads off and put them on stakes and parade them through the city to, show that they've defeated the quote unquote.
To dissuade any uprising, the full quartering of slaves, during times of enslavement, cutting them in four, tying horses to, opposite sides of them and making the horses run all four different ways to split them. The castration in front of the pregnant women to embed the level of fear in the, in the uterus, in the womb of the woman to go into the child. All of these things have been done systematically to damper any rise of the quote-unquote black messiah. And, that is the warrior.
So, coincidentally, I love the way that the universe, the great divine, speaks through signs, because one of the last vestiges of organized black masculinity that we saw, they stood for a purpose, because you got black niggas grabbing their nuts, and running around with their pants hanging down, and people would try to identify that as black masculinity or the warrior spirit, and I would say that that's the misguided warrior. But the last vestige of guided warriors that we had came out of where?
Oakland.
That's Huey P., Bobby, and all of those brothers out of the Black Panther Party. You feel what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So there's a history to that land right there. So fast forward to today, we have one of the products, or what they would quote, the bastards of the party, coming out of Oakland with that same anagram or that algorithm in Marshawn Lynch. Like you said, last year was our brother Richard Sherman, a brother who doesn't look. Let's talk about looks at first because it's all about the aesthetics. A brother who doesn't look, you know, like his coffee has a lot of milk in it. You know what I'm saying? Like he don't look watered down. He got locks, wide nose. You know what I'm saying? He's very heavily melanated, so he resonates with the image that has been, you know, always flashed to you on the screen as this is the enemy. This is the, you know what I mean? This goes into
This the thug.
yeah. This goes into everything that we've been talking about over the past few months, dealing with, you know, the protests, dealing with the assault, dealing with the outright declaration of war on the image of the black man. Cause it ain't just the black, it's the image. It's the anti-nigger campaign.
It's the image, it's the character. All of these things are being assassinated, you know what I'm saying, and setting up you know, preconditions for the physical assassination or the bloodletting, you know, which we saw with our babies lying in the street and blood's flowing down the stream. Yeah, and then we see continuous articles coming thus forth or what have you. So this is their systematic response, right, to the non-castration. Oh, it's still, you know, still some of y'all out there? You feel me? And they like, how dare you? You know what I'm saying? Like, you not bowing yet? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not kowtowing? And they like, nah, we still here, still standing. You feel me? Right? Niggas with an attitude. Right? Shout out to Suge, right? Right? So, and all of that coincides. We're talking about a Mars energy. We're talking about Marshawn. We're talking about Marion Knight. We're talking about, you know, in so many words that NWA engram, you know, without it being necessarily misguided, because the only thing, yeah, you know,
They fuck the police, political shit. You know what I mean? When they initially came out, they was on some all black, you know, banging on the police type. You know what I'm saying? It was mixed with a little bit of that revolutionary swag that the Panthers left.
yeah. And you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that on the West Coast, especially in the Bay Area. You know, if there's anywhere where there are remnants left of that energy still in this country, you know, as it was told to me, you got to go up north. You know what I'm saying? Meaning to the Bay. And when I went up there, I found a very different sort of prototypical, you know what I'm saying, African. Shout out and peace to all my Africans out there. You understand? The real ones stand up. Yeah. So, you know, what we see with my brother, Marshawn Lynch, right, is someone who doesn't want to volunteer themselves for the high-tech lynching of media. He's saying, I don't see the need to play this game. You don't care two shits about me. You're going to be the same media that'll flip on me if I do something or if I lose. You know, this is a game. So if we're going to play the game, I want to play it by my own rules, all right? You got 2 or 3 minutes to look at me. You understand me?
No.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. You feel me? I'm fulfilling my obligations as a $40 million slave, granted. And then I want to leave this plantation and go back to the people that count, my family. You understand?
On a higher metaphysical level, we studying this DNA stuff now. You know what I mean? He's showing you beyond a reasonable doubt that what do they thrive off of? What do they thrive off of? 2 things: your validation and your attention. The simple fact that he won't talk to them is fucking them up because they not cool with their kids right now.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? There's a point where they're like, he's not paying us attention. We don't exist.
We don't exist.
We don't exist in his world. They have a problem with that.
So, you know, that kind of leading me into my next question, which would be, why is it that when we get these figures of, you know, of black masculinity on television, I'm gonna use the example of what's the brother from that, Richard Sherman? Yeah. Richard Sherman from last year. As soon as you come out with some type of masculinity, it's like they have this love-hate relationship, and they grab you. You get endorsements after that. You what's his name? Marshawn Lynch is on Conan O'Brien now. They it's like they love this. Like I don't want to say love, but it seems like they love it. They like, oh shit, this nigga he just ignored us. He just shitting on us. He just made us kiss his shoe like Sardetta does. Oh man, we got to put him on TV. This is must-see TV. What's the dynamic behind that?
That's wrong, nigga. Either they want to suck your dick or they want to cut it off. How about that? Or they'll do it in that way. They'll suck it, then they'll cut it off. Or they'll cut it off and then suck it. You understand what I'm saying? There's an attraction that they have to that man because of what he's doing. Because of the way that you ever have somebody jocking you and you curve them or you ignore them? Do you know what that does to them? You know that's the chase now. These people like to hunt exotic animals. These people like to put lion heads on a motherfucking wall. So when you show that you that lion in the room, you know what I mean? When you dare buck their system, it gives them niggas a little 2-inch hard on. They love their stocks rise. So you gonna get endorsements. They're gonna throw money at you. But as we see in the Conan O'Brien skit and other skits, they're gonna play the gay agenda. And there's another skit that he did with another dude, this white dude by a truck. It was 2 white dudes. They went straight to the gay agenda. That's how they get their runs on. Conan O'Brien went straight to the gay agenda. You know what I'm saying? So they'll bring you in, throw money at you, but the ultimate goal, at the end of the day, the motherfucking 4-year or 5-year goal plan is to put a skirt on that nigga and desensitize him.
Yeah, they gotta hit you. They gotta hit you with the interview. You know what I'm saying? They gotta hit you. Yeah. On the Terry shit. You feel me? So they gotta hit you with that interview energy. You know what I'm saying? They gotta put you into that spectrum where now they have this false, weird homoerotic fascination with you, you know what I'm saying? Because you in beast mode and you buck the system, and by any means they're going to have to put you in a place where they can tame you and demasculate you. That's where the homo agenda comes in. You know what I'm saying? So again, like
a nigga on his knees
on a deeper metaphysical level, you know what I'm saying? Y'all often hear me talk about my 44s and, you know, 44 meaning Mars and Mars meaning Aries and Aries going into blood and everything. You know what I'm saying? What's the #1 endorsement that this brother got?
Skittles.
What company makes Skittles?
Mars.
All right. So is he 100% anti? I wouldn't say so. He's supporting, that's like the second or third biggest corporation in America is Mars Corp. You know what I'm saying? So, and he gives them free endorsement. I seen a Skittle interview with him. He was giving it up in that interview. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've seen other interviews where he's giving it up. I've seen the Vice interview. I've seen a lot of other interviews. But as of lately, you know, I didn't see the Conan O'Brien as of yet. You know what I mean? But what I can gather from these interviews and things that he's saying is that, look, man, I sat through this media hellstorm on national TV like everybody else did these past few months. I don't fuck with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all don't care about me. I don't care about my peoples. You don't care about the youth. You don't care about the inner city. We don't have nothing to talk about. You know what I'm saying? I'm fulfilling my obligations to you in terms of I'm here only because I got to be here. You got X amount of minutes left, and I'm up out of here.
My question would be, why doesn't the other $40 million slaves pull that motherfucking card? That's my question. Why doesn't everybody else get on Marshawn Lynch beast mode? Because at the end of the day, he's doing what it is that he's supposed to be doing in the position that he's in with as much power that he is. Just ignore them, B. Do what you do. Play your game, get them rings, feed your family, fulfill your obligations contractually, become a motherfucking role model for them real Africans out there. But at the end of the day, I don't have nothing to say to you. There's nothing to talk about because you niggas are not my friends. By you interviewing me and covering me, that's not going to make me win the game. It's not going to matter. It's not going to help me in the Super Bowl. So what is there to talk about?
Right. And you do see a number of different players coming out saying he's voicing their exact sentiments, but they're not the ones voicing those sentiments. So they are vicariously living through, you know what I'm saying, living through his gangster because they can't, for whatever reason, pull it up out of themselves to strike that, you know what I'm saying, position and hit that note. So he's liberating a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, in that position by actually, you know, standing taking this, standing on the square, taking this particular stance and showing them how to do it. So you might see something, similar to it. I mean, why should somebody replicate what he did to the T? They have to create their own level of protest. I hope that they all come out, for the Super Bowl and do something symbolic to show a unified front. You feel me? Because you got the Seahawks, all right? You got the Hey Rules going against the Patriarchs, who are the Patriots. So you got Haru battling Set. You know what I'm saying? You got them going against the Patriarch, the Uncle Sam, the father of this shit. You know what I'm saying? And they got to go against this team, which has been categorically, recognized as a melanated regime of power. You know what I'm saying? Coming out of Seattle, and we spoke, I think, on the Macklemore video about how, white and liberal Seattle is. You know what I'm saying? So these are technically Europeans who love them some niggas out there, who supposedly understand the plight and the struggle of our African family. So this should be interesting. We all in it for the symbolism. Like I said, that's that 2-4 or that 44. Marshawn Lynch channeling that Mars energy, that 44 energy. Marion Suge Knight, you know what I'm saying? Dumbing out as well. That's a whole nother story. And I think that both of those stories kind of juxtapose one another kind of perfectly, because it goes into the whole aspect of this thug image in media, this uncompromising, African that just can't be contained, or one that they're looking at, and they like, God damn, how should get out of all of these situations? This nigga work with them folks or something? Like, what's really going on? So, it's an interesting juxtaposition or what have you. All right.
Now you talk about we throw these terms out here, buck dancing and this thug image, and when I see brothers like Marshawn Lynch on television, behave the way he behaves and, just be him. It makes me think about certain situations, me just observing life in reality and seeing how people respond. I always notice, and I want to ask you, what is your opinion on people what does it mean for somebody to be outside? Say a brother's wilding out, chilling, bugging out on the train. Say it's 5, 6 brothers or sisters or whoever, and everybody chilling, bugging out. They may have some drinks. They may be eating. They may be standing on the chairs. One brother may be doing pull-ups on the things in the train station. But when the train stops where there's a lot of white people getting on, it's like, oh shit, everybody sits down, everybody stops wilding out, people start cursing, and often the brother that keeps wilding out is criticized, and they say, yo, so why you act like that, man? You making us look bad. And I've heard that my whole life. Yo, you making, not me personally, but in general, you making us look bad around them white folks. But you can look bad around other black folks, but when you get around him, you got to behave. You got to cut all the shenanigans out. What kind of mentality what goes on in the psyche of a race of people who feels like that?
Hold on. I think that, it's a dichotomy of what I talk about with New York. We grew up in New York and we call it the concrete jungle. Where we live in now is the concrete zoo. So there's a level of domestication, self-imposed, right, that has been, again, intrinsically imposed and put upon us, because as children you were taught, this is not how Europeans act, but this is how you act. So there's always been this cultural difference that you thought about, and the fact that we look at them and we see culture, that has been imprinted and implanted in us through their media, through TV. When we think about Prestige and we look at them, we associated with that shit based on the fact that we grew up looking at Dallas and Dynasty and things of that nature, right? Falcon's Crest. We wasn't taught nothing about our historic past and what have you. So again, we go back to this concept that people are only going to shit what you feed them. You know what I'm saying? So we have been thoroughly, again, indoctrinated by what? White, masculine, male, Western psychology. And because of that, when in Rome, you know what I'm saying? The people going to look at the Roman like they're dignified. And then that's where that whole behavior aspect comes in. Like, oh, we're acting undignified. Yeah. We can't do this in the presence of master, or we might get some lashings.
There was a article somebody sent me today on Facebook what Charles Manson said. Charles Manson, right? Helter Skelter. He said, the European is a savage. And he has created out of the black man and woman, a savage who wants to be just like him. Charles Manson, he came to the jungles of Africa where the black man was God and brought him over here, and now he's a dog. You know what I'm saying? When we do this, you will put the passage right there. This is Charles Manson. But remember, Charles Manson, you gotta anybody that they call crazy, anybody that they completely ostracize, go read their work. Go follow up on them. You feel what I'm saying? Helter Skelter was talking about the black people. Helter Skelter is the rise of the black messiah. Helter Skelter, which he was talking about implementing, was the black man waking up to his true self and his true origins and going buck wild. So we just did the lecture in Boston, and I showed what the Moors brought to Europe, how they regentrified Europe. Let's talk about that. Nobody want to talk about that. How these people wasn't bathing, how they was savage and cannibal-like. I'm talking 14 and 15, 700, 800, 900. You know what I'm saying? So now we've become what we despise the most. You the savage now. You the wild hunters. You savage life. Matter of fact, yeah, Bobby Schmurder just came home today. We did that video years ago. This nigga just came home today. You know what I'm talking about? And yeah, and we've become what we've despised the most. So I just got off a jump off or the train on 25th coming here. I look down the block. They got a nice little new spot called Chai. CHIA. And under there it said love. And then it says something else and relax. I'm like, look at this fancy shit. These motherfuckers coming to Harlem, right? These motherfuckers coming to the Mecca. They coming into Harlem, the Mecca of cultural civilization, the black Mecca. And they're setting up entities and storefronts to civilize the niggas. This is what regentrification is. What you think putting a bagel with a trap house is? They trying to civilize you as if yoga's, that's not even their thing. They jack that. Eating healthy and all of that, that's not a white thing. That's not a white thing. Half of those fruits and vegetables and things like that are not even native to Europe, Paul. That's Elijah Muhammad's Eat to Live. That's Queen of Four's book. That's Dr. Sabi's work. That's Dr. Africa's work. My point is that you are the originator of a lot of these cultural norms. You are the originator of high civilization. So the fact that if you have forfeited your high civilization, you've been denationalized, you're a brand and a label right now, and when they come around, you want to act, noble. The only reason, the only thing that invokes nobility amongst you and your ilk is the presence of white people. Then what are you but a slave? Huh? On the plantation, straightening up on Sunday when he come around. Come on.
Now, on shows I've did on the past, we've talked extensively. Well, maybe would not me. I'm sure we've touched it, but I've touched it with other speakers as well about the impact reality shows have on our people. And brothers tear the sisters up, tear them up. Housewives, brothers get on these sisters hard with these reality shows. What's the other one? Love and Hip Hop. Brothers get on the sisters hard when it comes to reality shows. Now, let's reverse it with sports. Sisters say, y'all niggas just in the sports all day long. Sport and play, as Elijah Muhammad said. Myself, I love basketball. Love it. Love basketball. Played it, watch it, everything. Not into football too much. Now, when people criticize the black male, for being into sports, or just males in general for loving sports. Is there something about sports that allows us to express our masculinity, allows us to release some type of masculinity, or is it somehow connected with manhood, or is it just some lazy ass shit that we need to get up off of because we wasting precious time watching it and it's becoming a distraction? Because tomorrow's Super Bowl. I'm probably upload this tonight. Tomorrow's Super Bowl. Damn near the whole world gonna be watching Super Bowl. Now, is this some masculinity thing where we're allowed to express our man and you know, tap into our inner manhood? Or is this just some straight bullshit that we need to get up over and stop giving our focus and attention to?
For people, right, who historically have been victorious, historically been victors, historically were the ones who dominated the Olympics before it was called the Olympics. The original Hercules, the Heru, where they get your Hercules from. We've always had this thing about competition in us, not just competing, but the ability to win, right? Fast forward to where we're at right now in this situation in the wilderness of North America, where the image of us winning has been reduced to sports. You know what I'm saying? The images of us winning has been reduced to the platform of sports. We can't help but to fuck with the sports game. I receive my appreciation from sports by none other than my son, who is 7 years old right now. He started waking me up at 4 years old. Facts. And his mama put him on. You know what I'm saying? But the way that I saw his passion for competitiveness, the way that I saw his passion for, he don't watch the sports. He knows the sports. Like, he's a commentator. Like, he knows all of the stats and everything. And his heroes are masculine black men, you know what I'm saying, who have an athletic ability where they duel it out on the courts or the football field or whatever, because his thing is basketball and football all day. He don't fuck with Tiger Woods. You know what I'm talking about? He don't care about no hockey. He ain't into none of that stuff. He want basketball. He don't even like baseball. He said it's whack. He's basketball and football. So I looked and I'm like, yo, he just want to win. And he wants to identify with the winners. He don't even rock with LeBron because he left Miami. He's like, he's not a winner. You know what I'm saying? And that's the generation that we have in our midst right now. You know what I mean? That's why they love competition, battle rap, debate, top five. You know what I'm talking about? What a nigga earning and whatnot this year. Who's a number one on Forbes? They just want to see us win because we belong to a society, the outcasted, thug, you know what I'm saying, targeted, black endangered species, you know what I mean, degenerate, downtrodden black man who you don't win on the nightly news. You don't win on the reality shows. Niggas wearing heels, you lost. You don't win in the movies, you get it first. To the head, first five, you get it first. You don't win. You're not winning in politics.
You're not winning in the White House.
You ain't winning in the White House. That nigga's lame. He's a lame duck. They flying drones all in his yard. You don't win nowhere else but in the sports arena. So give us our sports. Give me sports. You know what I'm saying? Let me be able, because my whole thing is this. Going back into the whole thing about being able to create a reality in which you could now bring down your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions. You have to be able to identify and point to something and say that, look, I can identify with the Hawks being on a winning streak. Nigga, I'm on a winning streak too.
Coming back. Yeah.
Or I could identify with that 0-16 and that comeback that the Seahawks do. I'm a winner just like that. And people use that as fuel. People use that. Yeah, I've been rock bottom. I had a 20-game losing streak. You know what I'm saying? I've been dunked on, made posters of, and all of that. But I'm back.
Jordan fueled me so much in my childhood.
You feel me? But I'm back. I trained. I got into training. I'm mental, because all that shit is mental. And whenever you dig into sports and you get into Jordan's books or you get into any of these players, they all talk about the power of the mind. They're not talking about physical abilities. They're talking about the mind power.
Right. In particular, was it the Utah game? Was it the game when he had the flu? You understand? So when we were at home watching that brother, okay, get on that court and play with the flu and just dropping it, you feel me? We're like, yo, this shit don't have too much to do with the body.
Even Phil Jackson said
that brother was animated by spirit. You know what I'm saying? That brother was animated by spirit, and the spirit took over. So as the youth, we're able to watch melanin in action in real time. Now what you telling me, you know what I'm saying, Akhenaten and them did? You feel me? Now what you telling me that our ancestors did on the plantation? Strong people. We can see that from the current model. You know what I'm saying? We can see that from the latest version. And then with saying that, we could also see, you know, the detractions from that in the modern example as well. We can see how that image has been attacked. We can see the systematic approach to now all of a sudden they got to put basketball stars in wigs and dresses as well. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't doing that to Wilt and them. They wasn't doing that to Clyde and them. They wasn't doing that to Jordan and them. You feel me? Rodman might have done it to himself. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we see these attacks on these particular figures. So my thing is, if you're smart and you know the rules of engagement, when you see them attacking these certain people, that's where the strength is at. You like, yo, this person has to be worth something on the chessboard for them to put so much thing, you know what I'm saying, so much attention and so much drive into tearing them down. And
so
and
this is no shot to the Wizards, you know what I'm saying, because I've admitted to watching Ratchet TV. You know what I mean? I bared my soul. You know, but their version of winning is they win an argument. There's no, I mean, you would be surprised what winning is. Oh, she kicked Stevie J out the house. She's winning. You know what I'm saying? Or she got her boobs is on fleek. She's winning. Like, leave us to our competitive sports. We need that right now. What Mike Tyson did for me, what Mayweather's doing for me by being unbeaten, by being undefeated, you know what I'm saying? And being able to, whatever you could say about him, he's still being himself. You know what I mean? Oh, he don't know how to spend his money. The brother's himself. You know what I mean? He can't read and all of that. He could read your algorithms. He could read body language. You know what I'm talking about?
He could read your telegraph enough.
Yeah. He could read your energy enough to be able to duck and move that shit and hit you with an uppercut. You know what I'm talking about? So my thing is, I understand what people might talk about when it comes to that, but this is mental for us. It's emotional as well. So it is heart and mind. Our hearts and minds get captured by winners, by people who exemplify a level of athletic proud, you know, and that shit speaks dexterity, and then that wakes up old DNA that's dormant within us because we seeing the black god or the body work as machines.
Right. And what happens right after that? Huh? Them C's go outside, at least they used to, and they get on them courts. That's how, yeah, that's how you got a Dwayne Wade. That's how you got a what's the boy name? Derrick Rose. Yeah. You feel me? All of those nights, all of them games, all of them opportunities to see Jordan on TV putting it down, they right in the schoolyard after that, right? Mimicking those particular moves, yep. Right? Brain and hand, you know, coordination. They got to link up and sync up. You feel me? Their memory capacity with their body to be able to mimic that particular move, and they start coming up with moves on their own. And it happened all the way around the league. For LeBron, it happened with Jay-Z. Him watching homie make his moves and stuff like that, throwing the music on, hitting that gym, pushing himself to greatness. So there's a symbiotic relationship with greatness that we have from one another. When we see one another achieve, when we see one another win, by any means, Okay, by any means, let's not be Puritans with this. A W is a W at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And if you stacked up all of these L's and shit, at some point, like, you're gonna take the W's you can get. That's what we see.
I think it's real deep that y'all said that. Y'all summed that up excellent. I know me personally in my life, I've used, that energy of victory in my life so many times when it came. You could take the energy of victory in sports and apply it to not just sports, but what you're doing in your own business. There's been times when I've been under the weather, but I had to work outside. And I reminisced on times like you mentioned when Jordan had the flu. If this brother could play 48 minutes on the court, running up and down the court, shooting threes, doing all that with the flu, shit, I could go out there and take care of my family and do what I got to do for 6 hours. I'm just, I'm standing there, whatever. So I use that even with other things, man. I've used that spirit. It's a spirit. It's not, you ignore the person and you just look through that person at the spirit of that drive, the ambition, that hunger. So I think it's real important that you said that. But last question with this, do y'all think that this is rigged? Because we looking at it and we're happy with the, we're talking about victory and being motivated by it. But for years, sports have been talked about as being rigged or being fixed or whatever. You got the Patriots deflating the ball and all that. So do you feel as though, this stuff is kind of fake and you just caught up in some reality football TV?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, anytime we're talking about billions of dollars being involved, anytime that we're talking about Europeans competing, you're going to have elements of it that are going to be what we call there's going to be compromise. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, we should just expect certain things such as that. Like I said, the Patriots represent the patriarch or this patriotic mindset. You know what I'm saying? It represents America, or the U.S. for that matter, U.S. And, there's going to be games being thrown. There's going to be point shaving. There's going to be deflating. There's going to be any and everything that you can think of. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as the audience, as we're sitting back and we're getting a good show, right? Whether we went, to me, it's like, okay, you could go to the movies and get hype. I use this analogy all the time. We don't need to talk about the relevancy of Jesus Christ when we can talk about the relevancy of Scarface and his children and the people that he was able to indoctrinate with that performance. So even if somebody's on the screen and they giving you a good performance, a good reenactment of a game, you know what I'm saying? So what? Even if they're on the field and they're giving you a good reenactment, I mean, they're putting together this show in this game and they're acting to a degree where you won't supposed to be able to pick it up or detect it. Yeah, you still seeing the whole game playing out and you're extracting from that game that lesson. You're extracting from the game that energy regardless. Just look for that eureka moment when you're looking at these sporting events. Look for melanin in real time. I tell people all the time, you want to see what the condition of the planet is? You know what I'm saying? Look at these sporting events. If you hear that there's a solar flare, you know what I'm saying? And you know how long that solar flare take to get to Earth? Go to the sports channel and see what's going on that court. You know what I'm saying? Open up your paper and see what the latest or the greatest of, this dude put up 55 last night. You know what I'm saying?
If we had a year where everybody was flopping, like nobody was dunking and everyone was missing their shots and dropping balls, Black America would be in a state of destruction. That'd be the telltale sign of this. Almost over. You feel me? But the magic is still here. You know what I'm saying? And we utilize those mediums or those platforms to just see that shit in action. I mean,
those people are engaging daily. They don't have an option whether not to. Unfortunately, we do in these streets. So we might not be seeing the victories daily because the focus is not the same. And let me say this, more importantly, the main thing that we're learning from sporting events is team. Okay? That's the main thing. The main thing that you're able to learn from sports is the importance of teamwork, the importance of consistency, the importance of staying on a particular theme to the end, all the way to the end till you get to the big dance. You know what I'm saying? So you get to the playoffs, so you get to the payoff. You feel me? Till you make off like Madoff. You dig what I'm saying? That's what this is about. That's what that particular image is supposed to be embedding in your mind every time you sit down and you watch that. Yo, the only way that they was really able to win is because they played as a team. What are we suffering from as a people? Lack of team cohesiveness, lack of teamwork, lack of a collective vision, lack of hitting that court every single night and going at it like your life depended on it. You know what I'm saying? Lack of coaching. You know what I mean? Lack of offensive and defensive plays. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Niggas don't know the triangle defense, offense, and all of that. Lack the all of those things is lacking. You know what I'm saying? You telling him, you screaming down the court, turn around, and you about to get dunked on. Niggas getting dunked on with their backs turned to the court and everything. Nuts on their shoulders, pause. So we seeing a lot of that in real life, but the Wizards complaining about the sports arena? Like, what about these streets? What about the lack of teamwork on these streets? What about the lack that, we don't have no LeBrons. We don't have no Jordans. We don't have no Roses out here. We don't have no MVPs because it's not a one-man show. It's a teamwork. So we have a lot to learn from sports and from teams. And like I said, that's melanin in action in real time. So we need to always have that window to the universe available to us. All right, contact info, Blue Pillar 44. That's on Instagram. MyPowerPieces.com is where you can get the jewelry from. Ocean14corp.com. That CMOS will be back in the building. We coming back with a vengeance for the debate February 8th and their 4th. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be pushing the line. All right. KTLempowerment.com if you want to participate on this team, if you want to get down with this team and put this teamwork in. A lot of people have been responding. I've been reading the comments about what needs to be done and what they want to see done and what they want us to talk about and this, that, and the other. I told you a minute ago that we was going to go out there and get some answers and solutions for the family. We have done just that. So stay tuned. We got something coming. And this is for the winners. This is for the winners only. This is for them people that want to go to the chip and get it's about the action, boss. If you want to get that trophy, this is for y'all. We talking about freedom on all levels. You know what I'm saying? But freedom ain't free. You feel me? So stay tuned. We're going to be bringing that information forth real soon.
February 22nd, Las Vegas, my brother A.A. Rashid. February 28th, we're going to be in Tampa, Florida for the Warriors Conference. Holla at us, all right? Peace.